everything. Hey, everybody out there online and in radio land, you are tuned into The Divide on WRFZ 106.3 Rochester Free Radio. Hit the like button, hit the share button. It doesn't cost you nothing. Drop some comments down below. We'll pop the comments up on the screen. Be part of the conversation. And even if you don't have much to say, just drop some American flag emojis or smiley faces or thumbs up in the comments, because everything helps to push the algorithm to get these conversations out to more people. Now, welcome to The Divide. This is one of my favorite shows, period. We are the #1 conservative talk show in New York State. Let's make it the world. So for me, I love my country. And far too few people that are American right now are willing to openly stand up for our country, especially in deep blue areas. We see this as a very, very serious problem. People are concerned. They're like, oh, well, if I say something or if I speak up, well, there might be retaliation against me, or somebody might not want to do business with me, or I might have issues at my job, or my neighbors might be mad at me, or whatever the case is. Well, if all of these ideals that are to make up America are gone, are you not going to have a hard time? You think those people aren't going to give you problems? It's a thing where I'm like, I don't understand that logic. If we lose all of what we know to be as American morals and American values, then where are we going to be safe? Like, is it going to be America? Well, clearly not. Not if the enemies of America are running America. Not if the people that hate American values and American ideals and traditional values and conservative ideals are the ones that are in power. And this is a scary, scary thought, because there are so many people that are just like, oh, it'll be fine. What'll be fine? What will be fine? This is why I always try to encourage everybody to stand up, to speak up, and to take action. Because if not you, then who? If not now, then when? It boils down to the simple fact that if we're not willing to stand up for our country, inside our country, nobody from outside is coming to save America. Nobody's going to come out the sky and come save America. Nobody's going to come out the ground to save America. It is up to us as Americans to fight for our nation internally and to stand up and to speak up. We see these people that are inside our own country, that have American citizenship, that were born in America, that have been here for generations, that hate our nation. And what they're doing right now is they're pushing ideologies that are corrosive to the maintenance of our nation. They're pushing things like socialism and communism and globalism and feminism and alphabetism and all of the isms. It's a serious, serious issue. And we have to start asking ourselves, well, if this is what's going on, why are they even here? Well, they're here pushing these ideologies because they want to deteriorate our nation. They say it right out loud. They say all of the things out loud that they don't like our country. They want to destroy our government. They want to tear America down so that they can rebuild it. You want to rebuild America in what image? Not the image of Christ. So this is what the problem is. People get upset and they say, oh, I see what's going on with these people that don't like America. I see what's going on with these socialists. I see what's going on in politics. I see what's going on. And then they fight on the internet or say, oh, I'm mad. And they don't get out and they don't get active. And this is the charge that I put to you, everybody who's listening, everybody who's watching. Get active. Go to your school board meetings. Go to your city council meetings. Go to your fire district meetings. Whatever it is locally where you can start to make an impact and understand what's going on, understand what's being done, to see where you can start to move to make a difference. Because if it's up to us, then it has to be us that does it. Because I'm telling you now, nobody else cares. If you care and you see other people not doing what you believe is necessary, who's going to do it? It's got to be up to you. And I know we can't do everything by ourselves, but start doing it. And then you'll see more people that are like, yes, we actually see what you're doing and we agree with you. And you have to start finding allies that are willing to speak up as well. We have to find our tribe. We have to find our people, the like-minded individuals that are there, that believe the same, that are willing to get active. I know it doesn't seem like there are tons of people out there, but they're out there. And if we can find them, we can start to make a difference. But it only takes one voice to stand up to start to make that difference. We have to stand and say, I'm not going to tolerate the continued destruction of the American nation for empty promises like socialism. What is socialism going to do to help Americans, right? We're rugged individualists. We believe that we can do everything and we should be able to do everything. But socialism says that the government should be doing everything for you and telling you how to do everything in your life and running your life and telling you where you should work, when you can sleep, when you got to wake up, when you turn on your lights, how much light you can use, how much internet you can use, what you can look at on the internet, and all of that. It is top-down authoritarianism. But they pitch it to you like, oh, well, everybody gets everything equal. Well, let's be honest. Everybody doesn't want everything equal. If everybody's got one bowl of gruel, there's going to be one person that wants 2 bowls of gruel. You know, as nasty as it is, somebody's going to want 2. And this is what we see all the time. Humans have human interests, and everybody's interests are different from everybody else's. To try to force others to conform to a way of thought and to general centralized planning that is all handed down by these elites in the government that is unintelligible to the average man. What are we doing? They don't know any. The centralized planning fails wherever it is put in place. It's failed in all of the Soviet nations. It's failed in all of the socialist nations. It's failed in all of the communist nations. It's failed in England. You know, like, it just doesn't work. Why? Because it doesn't scale. Socialism doesn't scale. It's very simple. You can get socialism, communism up to about 5 to 7 people. After that, the whole architecture breaks down because everybody wants something for themselves. They have their own personal motivations. They have their own personal desires. They have their own personal thoughts. So this top-down centralized planning is completely against the concept of what the United States of America is. And we have to understand that. But the problem is, so many people are very upset because they say, oh, well, you know, the government isn't doing what I want it to do. It's not working the way I want it to. So we get these people that come in, these socialists, these communists, and they promise everything. They promise everything, but they end up giving you nothing and they take away. They say, oh, we're going to give you free stuff. Well, wait a second. How does the government get free stuff? The government doesn't make anything. The government doesn't make a profit. So how can they get you free stuff? Well, the money has to come from somewhere. The money has to come from somewhere. And the money always comes from you, the taxpayer. And you might say, well, Marcus, there are a lot of people that don't pay taxes. That's true. There are a lot of people that don't pay taxes on both sides of the scale. Okay, you got people that are ultra wealthy that pay almost no tax. You got people that are impoverished that pay almost no tax. So that means that the only way for the government to get money is to siphon it off from all the people in between that actually are generating some funds, you know? And this is the taxation that we see more and more getting heavier and heavier and becoming more of a burden all across our nation, especially in these deep blue areas where they're pushing this propaganda of, oh, we need a bigger government because government is the answer. Government is never the answer, my friends. More government is never the answer. It's always smaller government, what we can do for ourselves. What was the saying that the Army used to have? Or I believe it was, who quoted that? JFK. He said, ask not what your country can do for you, but ask what you can do for your country. Well, the best thing that you can do for your country is be a rugged individualist, somebody that is independent from the government, that can actually provide for themselves, provide for them family, and doesn't have to be dependent on the government. However, these people that we see in the government right now, especially in blue states, and especially these socialists and the Democrats, are pushing this concept that the government is daddy, the government is mommy, the government is all that you need, and they will provide for all. They will provide you a job, they will provide you a house, they will provide you heat, they will provide you cool, but they won't, because they can't. Because the only way that they can do that is to take it from others. Government is not the answer. I'm a big free market person, you know what I'm saying? But more than that, I believe that everybody should understand that the lowest level of governance is the family. This is why the government has continued to push to break up the family, get the fathers out of the homes, make it so that the schools are just an indoctrination center so that they teach the children that they should rely and that they should do whatever the government says. That's what they want. That's what they want. They want more government because they know the larger that they expand the government, the more dependent that they make you on the government, the more the government can have control over you. And at the end of the day, everything is about power and control. How can they get power and control over you? How can they get power and control over how you think? Power and control over how you live? How can they constrain everything about your daily life so that you can see nothing but daddy government, so that the government is God? Because at the end of the day, that's what these Democrats and these people that are calling themselves communists and socialists, all of them want to replace God. That's what it is. They'll say, oh, no, it's this, it's that, no, it's not. Don't let them lie. Don't let them play in your face. All of these are things that are based on shifting morals or moral relativity or moral superialism, which has no stance on anything tangible. They don't believe in God. They don't believe in the Bible. They don't have anything that won't just shift with the spirit of the times, the Zeitgeist. They don't have any of that. That's why we see the continued deterioration of all of these things bit by bit. They say, oh, well, there's nothing, it's a slippery slope fallacy. What do you mean? Have you ever been on a slippery slope? If you go on a slippery slope, you're going to bust your behind and you're going to go all the way down. Every single time, that's exactly what happens. Look at all of the nations that have been socialist, okay? You got the Soviet Union, right? Big socialist nation, big socialist nation. They even managed to pull off communism, right? So the difference between socialism is the ideology, the form of economics and political governance is communism. The whole issue of socialism is to usher in communism. If you do the studies, if you study Lenin and Marx, you'll learn this. But a lot of people, they pump these ideologies and they have no clue about any of the origin or any of the history to do with any of it. And it's problematic because people are so gung-ho, yay, I'm a socialist because I hate the government. You ain't got to tell me twice. I don't like the government either. I think the tea is spoiled and we should have been poured the tea out a long time ago. But it doesn't mean that I believe in socialism. Like, you've lost your rabbit mind. We are a republic. We are a constitutional republic. The United States of America is a constitutional republic. We have a Bill of Rights. We are set up so that the federal government does not have endless power and that it is limited, and the state's powers are supposed to be limited too. But we see more laws every year that empower the federal government. We see more laws every year that empower the state government. And every bit of power that they increase in themselves is them taking away power from you. Don't let them do it. Don't let them do it. This is what we see going on and on and on, and it must be stopped. I encourage you guys, hit the like button, hit the share button. It doesn't cost you nothing. As you comment, as your comments are coming in, I'm going to do my best to pop them up on the screen. So please drop some comments, even if it's just an American flag emoji or a thumbs up. All of that helps a lot to get us out to be seen more, and definitely hit the follow button and hit the subscribe button, okay? Let's jump back into it. As we talk about these concepts of further encroaching government power, we also have to look at it through policy. Let's see, what are policies right now that people want? Large conversation is social welfare, right? The government should do everything, right? Well, let's see, when was these type of programs most functional? When were these types of programs most functional? Well, I'm a big fan of the SNAP program, because if you guys don't know about the SNAP program, at the end of the day, somebody's eating, right? Like, it doesn't matter even if they sell the food stamps, somebody's eating. But that's a Republican thing. Did you know that? Did you know that the Republicans actually put SNAP forward? Like, that's where it comes from. That's why it's also in the agricultural bill, because it's about actually making sure that our farmers can be more stable as well. But at the end of the day, with that, somebody's always eating. Then we always have all of these other issues with Medicaid and stuff like that, where we can't even have the assure that the right people are on it because the federal government has the state managing it. Well, maybe if the state's managing it, maybe the state should pay for it, right? Like, maybe the state should pay for it. Maybe this is the problem. We're pushing too much stuff on the federal level, and we're spreading all the tax money on the federal level too thin onto these states, and then the states are just massively mismanaging all of the funds. And this has been the history. This is why we see all of this fraud now. And you say, oh, well, Marcus, there's so much fraud going on as far as government funds. Yeah, of course, because the government funds are so plentiful. Why are the government funds so plentiful? And I'll give you the best example that I can give you, which is from a department that I'm very fond of, which is the Department of War. Department of War sucks. There's so much waste and fraud in the Department of War. It's ridiculous. And they've never passed an audit in forever. So Pete Hegseth over the weekend, I watched him give a speech. He was speaking to Turning Point at CLS, a Chapter Leadership Summit. And he said that he's going to have the military actually not only have be beholden to the budget, but they're actually going to pass an audit. I said, dude, I said, from your lips to God's ears, because I would love to see that. As far as I know, the military has never passed an audit. You know, well, not the military itself, but the Department of War. So this will be very interesting. He said, and we're going to account for all of the money too. I said, you're going to account for all of the money, dude? I said, Lord willing, Lord willing, that would be an amazing thing. But it's not just the Department of Defense, right? When you start to look into certain individualized programs, like I was mentioning Medicaid, dude, the fraud and waste and abuse that's in there is crazy. It's crazy. You know that they couldn't even really negotiate the prices with Medicaid, and that they've been trying to get that in the government for years so that they can actually negotiate prices, because they're a bulk buyer, right? Like, Medicaid pays a lot of medical bills, so they should be able to negotiate lower prices. But Congress for years has dragged their feet on a bill that would allow them to actually negotiate for prices. Why is that? Does Congress hate Americans? Are they so inept that they don't understand that that's something very important, that fiscal spending and it being able to be actually kind of legitimate spending instead of all of this balloon spending is important to us as citizens? No, because it's not their money. So they just spend your money willy-nilly, throw it here, throw it there, no checks, no balances. And then who ends up suffering? We do. Because what happens? The debt balloons, and then they need more money, which means that they have to increase taxes. And I don't know about you, I'm not a big fan of taxes. They tax you when you go to the store, you buy a drink, they got to tax you on your drink. You got sales tax, you got property tax, you got death tax, you got inheritance tax, you got tax, you got capital gains tax, you got all of the taxes, more and more and more, and it's coming out of your pocket. And where does it go? To the government. And where does the government spend it? Nobody knows. This is what the problem is. Here, drink water, stay hydrated. Drop some comments below. I'll pop your comments up on the screen. Be part of the conversation. You're tuned into The Divide with Marcus C. Williams. I'm here on your ear having the conversations that you need to hear. We are on WRFZ, Rochester Free Radio, LP, and we're here from 2:30 to 4 p.m. Tell your friends, hit the share button, hit the follow button, and if you're on the radio, get everybody you know to tune in to 106.3 FM. Now, let's jump back into it, people. Over the weekend, we had Lindsey Graham die, magically. Lindsey Graham, one of the biggest foreign assets that we have ever had. And then I turn on the TV today, and everybody's all, oh, Lindsey Graham was the greatest person in the whole wide universe. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? He was the biggest foreign asset that we have. You understand what I'm saying? All he did was ever advocate for more war, advocate for more money to be sent abroad, advocate for these people that are supposed to be our allies but are draining our coffers and blowing other people up. That actually works against the benefit of the United States of America. And all of a sudden, he's the bestest guy in the whole world when before everybody hated him. Like, stop playing in my face. And maybe they all love him because all he does is siphon away our tax money, like we were talking about. But I mean, hey, you know, he's passed all magically suddenly. And now everybody wants to be like, oh, he was such a great guy. He was not a great guy. Like, what are we talking about? Like, you know, they say, oh, well, you don't want to talk ill of the dead. No, man, I don't know why this is not a conversation. All dude did was work against the interests of the American people. And people were like, oh, well, he served in the military for 30 years in the Air Corps or whatever it was. I don't remember whether it was the Air National Guard or the Air Force. Don't quote me on that. But he did this, he did that. What did he do? I've seen him continually work for foreign countries, not in our benefit. Him advocate for foreign countries on the floor of the United States Congress. I don't think that it's appropriate for any of our senators, for any of our House of Representatives, congressmen, to be talking for no foreign country. I don't think that they should be getting any money from any companies or nonprofits that are pushing any agenda for any foreign country, any foreign industry, any foreign business, any foreigners, period. Point blank. Like, it's crazy to me that they're out there like, oh, yes, you know, and even the president said this, and it was wild to me. He said, oh, yes, Ukraine and Israel lost a very strong ally today, this, that, and the third. Ukraine, Israel, I thought he was a senator from Carolina. We're like, what are we doing? Who is he really working for? Ukraine and Israel are not the United States of America. Ukraine don't even like us. You understand what I'm saying? Like, this is full fact, which we don't associate countries with their people, but I'm talking about the government of Ukraine, like specifically Zelensky and his little tin pot dictator self that has gotten rid of elections in his own nation, that is nothing more than a tyrant, that has been killing his own people, that has been force conscripting his own people, that in the beginning of the war used his own people as human shields, okay, to prevent Kyiv from getting bombed. So he wouldn't let any of the people out of the country. And then as young men were trying to escape the country, the military was shooting them in the back. Can we talk about that? Huh? No, we can't talk about that. That's when they kicked the news reporters out of Ukraine. That's what happened over there. Like, you're like, oh, well, it happened. It happened. And that's why we didn't have any more news reporters there. Like, you guys don't understand, man. These other foreign interests and stuff like that, it's not good for the American people. It is no good for the American people. We shouldn't be sending our funding, our money, our tax dollars to any foreign country, especially not to protect or help them from nobody. They are not our vassal state. They are not part of the United States of America. I don't want to help England. I don't want to help Australia. I don't want to help Botswana. I don't want to help none of them. What they got for us? Are they about to roll up off of some minerals for us? You understand what I'm saying? Are they about to roll up off some money for us? Why are we defending them? You want us to defend you? Where's your protection money? Like, what are we doing? All of that. Somebody said all of them people, all of that. Like, it's all the same. It's all about globalism. You're talking, I'm gonna pop the comments up if you guys can see it. So all of it is globalism, right? It's a deterioration of the United States of America as our own sovereign nation, as an individual nation. It's all about globalism. And the more that they can drain our resources to get it to go to other countries, the less that is for our people. We have homeless people on the street. We have children that need money for education. We have parents that are struggling to make ends meet. We've got all types of issues. I was reading a report the other day from the Feed America people. Okay. They're like, yes, 2 out of 5 children go to bed hungry. What do you mean 2 out of 5 children go to bed hungry when we got all this money for all these other countries? Stop it. Stop it. Stop playing in my face. All it is the purpose of taking America's money from our taxpayers and pushing it abroad to other foreign interests and to other corporations which do not benefit the American people. Full stop. And we as Americans need to recognize that. We need to understand that. And all of these people that are in Congress, all of these people that are in Senate, if they're not about to do what's right by us, we need to cut them off. They need to be removed. Okay? They need to be removed. They need to be challenged. They need to be primary. They need to get out. Ask yourself right now, the one most important thing that we need right now is voter ID to protect our elections. Explain to me why the Democrats and the Republicans are not doing enough to make it happen. What do they say? Oh, it's an 80-20 issue. Democrats really want voter ID too, you know? So why isn't it being done? Blacks want voter ID. Whites want voter ID. Puerto Ricans want voter ID. Like, what is going on? Mexican Americans want voter ID. What is going on? Why is it not being done? If they're not willing to stand up and to serve our best interests as a nation, but they got all the audacity to send our money abroad, they need to be out. They need to be out. Drop your comments, share this video, share it out with your friends, your family, your enemies, share it in some groups, share it in some emails. But get this message out there. Drink water, stay hydrated. Now, as we have this conversation with now Lindsey Graham magically died going to Ukraine, some people are trying to put out there, oh, well, you know, it could have been Russia. Man, ain't no Russia. And that's not saying that Russia doesn't have the capability to do something like that. It's that it doesn't benefit Russia, right? Like, who does it benefit if Lindsey Graham dies after going to Ukraine? I can almost guarantee you I know what happened over there. I bet you Lindsey Graham went over there and he was like, listen, I can't really give you guys any more money. It's not a popular cause anymore or whatever. And they took him out. Almost guarantee you that that's what happened. Almost guarantee you. Okay. And, you know, they work very close with another group of individuals that's always getting money from us. That is another nation state that always serves its own best interest and not the best interest of America. Okay. We need to get like these other countries. We need to be on that wave. We need to look out for the best interests of America the same way that they look out for the best interests of their own nations. We need to prioritize America over all other nations. Okay? Friend, foe, ally, bro. It don't matter. They got to go. There's only one priority, and that priority needs to be the United States of America, our sovereignty, our people, and that's it. That's it. NATO's another problem, right? So NATO's over there popping all this smack, right? At the last NATO conference just about a week ago, okay? And they're like, oh, well, you know, the U.S. is mean with the different trade sanctions and the different stuff. Y'all are dickheads. Excuse my language. Y'all were really nasty, really mean. We asked for your help with Iran and securing the strait. Nobody wanted to help. And y'all out here got your hand out, look, hat in hand. You understand what I'm saying? Okay, it's a problem. They're mad because, oh, well, we got sanctions on them and they're not happy about the sanctions. Not sanctions, but the tariffs. We got tariffs on them and they're not happy about the tariffs because they got to pay more money because America's working on restoring America. Well, excuse us for actually prioritizing America for a change. We've been too worried about the rest of the world that we've forgotten about our own country. And that's a whole problem. The only people that we should be worried about is America. Okay? If somebody else wants to get on the wave of helping America, supporting America, standing with America, they need to bring something to the pot. Okay? Like you can't, they are not invested in the progress of our nation, right? And when they do things, they do things for their own self-enrichment. NATO's mad. I don't care about a NATO. Italy's mad. Let them be mad. England's mad. Let them be mad. They got their own problems going on, and they want to drag us into their nonsense. But when we need their assistance, they don't even want to let us use their bases. Make it make sense. And I'm not a big fan of what's going on in Iran for a number of reasons, but I also am kind of a fan because I would do as much as I can to hurt China, because China is the real enemy, and hurting Iran really jacks up China bad. So, and Iran doesn't like us, so that's another bonus. Bonus. But we have these conversations, and we look at what's going on with Iran, and we say, well, why are we still over there? I don't want to be over there. I don't want to be over there at all, right? Like if at all possible, I'd prefer that we're not over there at all. But we're over there now. Why are we still over there? Well, because we have an ally that decided every time we're about to get a negotiation closed with these people that they want to blow up everybody that we negotiate with. This is our ally, blowing up everybody that we're negotiating with. Okay? Ask yourself, why is that? Right? And people say, oh, well, it's for their own benefit. It's for their own benefit. And they should be able to do that. Yeah, it's for their own benefit. What about our benefit? What about our benefit? I don't live in their country. I live here in America. What about the benefit of America? Okay? Supposed to be our ally, blowing up everybody that we negotiating with. We done been there 6 months longer than we needed to be because they blow up everybody every time we about to negotiate with somebody. They were just about to blow up Iran's people the other day, except the U.S. had to back channel. Go look this up because it's some BS. The U.S. had to back channel with Iran, okay, to warn Iran that they was about to have their people blown up by our ally, okay, to interfere in us having conversations about actually ending this situation. But you can't even talk about them doing against what is in the best interest of America because they're all about self. Self. They're all about self. And that's their problem. They don't care about America. They don't care about American citizens. It's about what can they get? What can they use to empower themselves? That's why they're over there in Lebanon right now. Leave Lebanon alone. You're like, oh, well, it's about Hezbollah. No, it's not. It's about you trying to take as much territory as you can. Like, stop playing in my face. At least be honest and earnest. Like, this is a problem. And whenever you talk about it, oh, you're anti this. Oh, you're anti that. How about I don't care. Just don't bring us as Americans into your BS. Oh, you took it. Oh, you want it. Oh, you killed it. So you get to keep it. Cool. I am a whole man. I get that. That makes sense to me. You kill it. You keep it. Good. Bam. Just don't try to involve us in protecting your stuff that you've taken through your decision to use warfare. And then say, oh, well, we need to help you. No, stop it. You got your own agenda. Take care of your own agenda. Leave us out of your nonsense. But this is what we see continuously. The disproportionate self-righteousness of our so-called allies for their own personal gain against America. Against America, right? Like, they don't care. We're over here negotiating with Iran to get out of there, to get the oil flowing, to get all of the trading going and all of that. And they're blowing up the people that we're having negotiations with. And people are like, oh, well, the Iranians, they're not good people. They're not. I don't think that they are. Okay, but if you're blowing up the people that we're having negotiations with, clearly we're not going to be able to come to a resolution. Who's stupid? They done blown everybody up. They done blown everybody up from the president down to the district leaders. Who we supposed to negotiate with? The daggone janitor? Like, what are we doing? Make it make sense. This is live, Jamila. So this is real. This is a serious problem. Okay? Because if we have to actually work through back channels to warn Iran that our ally is going to blow their negotiators up. There is a very serious problem with our ally actually going against the best interest of what we are doing. Can somebody make it make sense to me? Like, you gonna tell me you're my friend, but you trying to bang my girl. What are you doing? You gonna tell me you're my friend, but every time I'm coming by, you taking pop shots. You gonna tell me that you're my friend, but you always steady hitting somebody. Like, what are you doing? These are our allies. Like, what the hell? Excuse my language. But I'm very passionate about this, yo. Like, we need the happy Monday to you too. I see you out there. We need to actually understand what's going on, but they don't want you to talk about it, because the second that you start talking about it, they're going to say that you're anti this, you're anti that, you're against this, you're against that. It's wild to me. You know, last week I got accused of being pro-Israel and anti-Israel at the same time. I don't even know. I don't even know anymore. I don't get it. I can't deal. Like, it's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. Like, I'm only pro one thing, and that's pro Jesus Christ. And the only thing after that I am pro is pro-America. And that's it. Y'all can't, if y'all don't hear me, y'all got to hear me. Come on now. Drink water, stay hydrated. This is the problem. If America's allies are not looking out for our own best interests, who's looking out for our best interests? We're looking out for them. We're looking out for them, but they're not looking out for us. Okay? Why are they not looking out for us? Explain it to me like I'm five. I see you in the comments there. Why are they not looking out for our best interests? Explain it to me. I see you want to talk smack. Explain it to me. Not you, the one with the comment up, the one that's on YouTube talking junk. Explain it to me why our allies are not looking out for our best interests. This is the deal. A friendship has to work both ways, right? Like, it can't always be take. What can you give? You can't be working off of against our best interests. We're supposed to be working together. But you're costing us manpower. You're costing us money. You're costing us munitions. Like, what are we doing? What are we doing here? Like, this is a serious issue. Then we got these. I don't even know, man. I was watching. Let me talk about this for a second, because it's important too. Back to Ukraine, right? We talking about Ukraine. I was watching the news the other day, and this guy finally found the truth. I'm going to find the clip and I'm going to put it up later. The guy was like, yeah, that's why we had to convince NATO that the Russians were going to go into Poland, even though they weren't going to go into Poland, to get them interested in Ukraine. I said, aha! So y'all lied the whole time. Russia was never going to go into Poland. First of all, if you guys aren't familiar with Russia at all, Russia doesn't have enough troops to hold their own land. So they daggone sure don't have enough troops to go into Poland. Okay? Like, it was never going to happen from the beginning. And it's crazy that this guy finally got on the TV and told the truth. I was awestruck, but I was also happy at the same time. Okay? And that's a very serious issue. They used the concept that Russia might go into another NATO nation to try to pump money into Ukraine, which has always been a corrupt nation, the most corrupt nation in the world, okay? Outside of, I think the only one higher than them is maybe like Zimbabwe or something like that, like some fourth world country in Africa. I can't remember which one. So they tricked us into, and NATO into, trying to shore up against Russia. When Russia, first of all, y'all, Russia might have a big military. They might have a lot of firepower. They might have a lot of nukes, but they can't bust a grape, right? Because all they can do is protect their position. And that's just barely. And you're like, oh, well, look at them attacking Ukraine. First of all, Ukraine used to be part of Russia, which nobody wants to have that conversation. That's number one. And they are Ukraine. A lot of Ukrainians are racist. That's a whole nother story. That's a whole much larger story. That's 100% fact, though. You should see what they did to a lot of the Africans that were in Ukraine when they first started the war. Go look that up. That's wild. Okay, but if you're interested in that, go look that up. Plus, a lot of them are Nazis. Like, this is actual, true, real history, okay, a lot of the Ukrainians are Nazis, especially in the military. This is and in the military leadership, okay, and nobody wants to talk about that. But that's a whole conversation for another day. Okay, so what happened is these people convinced the people in NATO that we should be funding Ukraine against Russia when it's against our best interest. What the heck has Ukraine got to do with us, right? Ukraine isn't a member of NATO. Ukraine used to be a Russian territory. Well, let's ask, why is Russia in Ukraine to begin with? Well, Russia's in Ukraine because they were what do you call it? Western Ukraine was committing genocide against the Eastern Ukrainians because they're Russian. They're ethnically Russian. So they were killing them all up. So people are like, oh, well, the war, it's Russia, it's Russia, it's Russia. That's not how it started. Zaporizhia and Donetsk, however you pronounce it, and the other one is 3 of the territories over there. We're supposed to be independently operating from Kiev, okay? So they were kind of like their own sovereign territories in Ukraine because they're ethnically Russian, okay? And then Western Ukraine started to kill off their people. They were just over there, okay, shooting and killing and murdering and stealing and raping all their women and people. Like, and we can't talk about that. Like, that's how it started. It started because Eastern Ukraine amassed an army of tens of thousands of people, okay, to fight back against Western Ukraine. Like, can we have that conversation? Like, it wasn't Russia to start out with. Most of the troops were not Russian, okay? They called on Russia to come help them because they have ties to Russia ethnically because they were being exterminated. But I don't see anybody out there protesting on the street talking about genocide of the Eastern Ukrainians. Hello? Is this thing on? Let me tap this and make sure somebody can hear me, okay? Like, it's wild. It's wild. Somebody said they're forever marrying Americans for citizenship. We'll talk about that in a second, because I got another thing to talk about that in a second. But this is what the problem is. This is exactly what the problem is. Somebody said, oh, well, it's a proxy war for control of the strait. Well, here's the deal. That's only an additional benefit, right? That's only an additional benefit. Control of the Black Sea, right? Entrance to the Black Sea, Odessa and stuff like that, which if it was up to me, I would have been took Odessa. Odessa would have been one of the first things. So I don't understand Russia's strategy or plan. So when people tell me, oh, Russia wants to take over Ukraine, clearly they don't. Clearly they don't. Clearly they don't want to take over all of Ukraine. And from the beginning, they've said they only want independence for these territories that have been having people massacred by Kiev. And I'm not mad at that. And they're still just fighting just to get those territories. If it was me, I would have took Odessa. I would have took the whole bottom of the area near the sea and all of that. Like, and wouldn't have nobody would have stopped me. Wouldn't have nobody in NATO. Wouldn't have nobody would have stopped me. I would have leveled that whole place. But Russia actually, God bless the fact that it's Putin in there, right? Like, a lot of people are like, Putin is evil. Putin is evil. Maybe, but he's not dumb. He's not dumb at all. And the fact of the matter is that anytime he could have dropped all types of munitions on them and he didn't. You know? And this is part of the problem, right? So you have to ask yourself, well, why? Well, like I said earlier, in the beginning, Ukraine refused to let their people out of Kiev. They boxed their people into Kiev, refused to let anybody go. The guy who was in charge of that, the defense minister or whatever the case is, actually came out on TV and said that. And I was like, at least he was honest eventually, but he was just taking the bullet for Zelensky. So they blocked up Kiev so that Russia wouldn't blow up the people. Kind of like how the Iranians had people encircle their nuclear power plants and stuff like that, and their energy plants, so that the US wouldn't blow them up. So you're using your own people as a human shield. Isn't that what we go and we say that Hezbollah is wrong for? Isn't that what we go and we say that, what are the people in Gaza? Not the Palestinian Authority, the other ones. Y'all know who I'm talking about. Drop it in the comments. I can't even remember. I don't know. But those people in Gaza, they're like, oh, the terrorists, they're using people as human shields. Yeah, but you're using people as human shields. Ukraine used their people as human shields. Where are the consequences and repercussions of that? How come nobody is talking about that? Somebody said Putin is calculated. He is. Extremely so. Extremely so. And we got to be honest, we need to be thankful that he's in there, because if it was one of these other real ultra hardcore people in Russia, it'd have been a nuclear war by now. He's shown great restraint, and that's beyond me, because if it was me, we'd probably be at nuclear war too. I gotta be honest. I'm not about to play them games. Like, you're not about to be blowing up my stuff and acting all a fool and killing my people and stopping all this stuff. I'd have blown them to smithereens. Like, there wouldn't have been no Ukraine if it was me. You understand what I'm saying? Like, look, I'm 5 seconds from going to blow up Mexico City. These people keep talking this trash, blow up their whole what you call it? What's their capital place called? I forget. Wherever they do business, blow that whole thing up, because they got a lot of mouth right now in Mexico. They act like the U.S. hasn't run down into Mexico City and took over Mexico City. Maybe we shouldn't have gave up Mexico City the last time. Okay? Mexico, y'all got a lot of mouth right now. Then y'all got people coming up here talking about, oh, Mexico this, Mexico that. Why are you not in your country? Go back. You understand what I'm saying? It's so great. Go back. Shoot. Don't get me started. Anyway, back to all this other nonsense. And this is really about the international affairs. And you'll say, well, Marcus, how does that impact us? It's your money. It's your money. It is your money being used in all of these engagements around the world that the U.S. has been suckered into. And I said it. I love my country, but we got suckered into this nonsense talking about we're protecting our friends and our allies. What allies with Ukraine have we ever had? Never. We don't got one treaty with them. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? Biden. Ugh. I put a lot of this on the Biden administration, not him himself, because I don't think he knew the time of day when it was 2 o'clock in the afternoon. So, I mean, here we are with our money in Ukraine that we're never going to get paid back off of. No extra territory from Ukraine. Ukraine is one of the breadbaskets of Europe. They've got so much minerals. Where is ours, right? What do we get out of this? To hurt Russia? Why do I even want to hurt Russia at this point? Russia's the only people that can push back against China. Okay? Let's be very clear. They're like, oh, China and Russia are allies. No, they're not. No, they're not. Like, you can say whatever they want. They can say whatever they want. China claims parts of Russia as their own sovereign territory. Like, stop it. Ain't no way you could be allied with somebody that says that half of your house is theirs. Stop playing in my face. China does what China wants. So all it is it's propaganda. Russia for years has been trying to draw closer to Europe, but Europe has always been trying to push back. And this is since the fall of the Berlin Wall, the fall of the Soviet Union, and them becoming a more of a democracy, or they're kind of a quasi-republic. It's a little weird. I'm not exactly sure what technically their form of government is, something between a republic and a democracy, right? But they've been trying to get involved with the U.S. and NATO for years, talking about, listen, China is a big enemy. China is a big enemy. We got to fight China together. We need to stand up against China. And NATO said, go stuff yourself. When Obama was in office, Putin asked 2 times. He said, hey, let us join NATO. Like, we need to combat China. Like, this is important, And Obama told Putin to go stuff himself. Okay, so there's a lot of stuff that's going on that a lot of people either A, don't know about, or B, don't recall had happened. Drink water, stay hydrated. Yep, China swears that they own everything. So now with China, they're like, oh, everything in the South China Sea is ours, and now we're going to claim more territory in the Pacific. We gotta stop China. China is the biggest threat to the United States of America since forever. I mean, people are like, oh, the Muslims, oh, the socialists, oh, the China. China is doing all of that. Who do you think is helping all of these Muslims and socialists take power in our country? China. It's all China. Like, all roads lead back to China. And we need to understand that Almost all of this is about China. That's why I'm not mad at busting up Iran, because Iran has this whole thing with the Belt and Road Initiative with China, where they're actually working to circumvent the West, right? The Western nations, really the weird nations, Western, rich, industrial, educated, democratic nations, right? And it's a problem for us. Okay, let's be very clear. Like, let's not play, let's not pull punches. Okay, China is our enemy. So whatever is good for them is bad for us. And all of this other functioning and thinking, oh, well, we have issues with these countries or that countries. Does it go back to China? That might be why we're getting involved over there. So we need to look at it like that. That's a big conversation. Not too many people are willing to have. But back to the part about them going into the South Chinese Sea and saying we own everything down there. Now they're talking about, oh, well, we have a right to claim most of these different islands in the Pacific and stuff like that. They're going with the Philippines. They're trying to take Filipino territory. They're trying to take territory from Vietnam. Okay, they're trying to take territory from all of these countries. Okay, and it's a problem. China is a serious problem, one of the biggest threats we have in the world right now. I say that we rename the South Chinese Sea, okay? We call it the Blue Sea or something. I don't care what we call it. Let's rename it. We about to really put the kibosh on what China's got going on. Let's just rename the South Chinese Sea. Real simple. We're going to start there, and then we're going to come at them for everything else. Because we really need to be cutting down on China, cutting their legs out from underneath them. Look at what they're doing. Look at Jamaica, right? Jamaica's in our hemisphere. Talk to a Jamaican about what China's done in Jamaica. They're taking over Jamaica, okay? They've got their own private toll throughways. They've taken over the throughways. They're only employing Chinese people. Like, they're taking over beaches in Jamaica. Like, it's real. They're taking over airports. Like, it's real. And Jamaica is right here in the hemisphere of the United States of America. We need to kick all of the Chinese out of Cuba, out of Jamaica, out of Nicaragua, out of Mexico, out of all of these other countries, especially Canada, because Canada's dumb self, man, I don't know if it's dumb, corruption, evil, or they've just been so co-opted, but they're letting in Chinese nationals into the military of Canada. Chinese nationals, not even green card holders, what we would consider green card holders. It's a little different in Canada, but not even people that are supposed to be in there legally. Okay? Like, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? This is a serious problem. Somebody said, well, Africa too. Yeah, they're in Africa too. Don't even get me started on that. China is paying their Chinese men to have sex with African women so that they can have half-breeds and then leave them fatherless so that China can come back later and claim that, oh, they've got ties to this land. Like, y'all don't understand how evil and how vile China really is. China is using breeding warfare against Africa right now. This is a whole level of evil that most Americans couldn't even fathom. It's really serious. It's really serious. And we need to have a conversation about this. But so many people get oh, well, this is the problem, that is a problem. Listen, China is the one that's pushing this feminism. China is the one that's pushing this socialism. China is the one that's pushing this communism. China is the one that's pushing all of these isms in our country, deteriorating our country, getting their people into mayorships in different states, and then they're getting arrested for spying for China. Like, hello, I guarantee you that lady, what's her name, in Boston, I guarantee you that Chinese lady over there is serving the Chinese. Okay, look at Kathy Hochul, where I live in New York State. 2 of her aides were arrested for that. We had what's his name, Eric Adams. One of his aides was arrested for that, for spying for China. Like, we're not taking this serious enough. Then we wonder why the communism and socialist narratives are growing here. Who is communist and socialist? China. Who does it benefit? China. Because if they get in the mindset of the people that, oh, well, you know, communism isn't that bad, socialism isn't that bad, the Chinese are good. Then you see all the propaganda online on X and stuff like that, where they're like, oh, I went to China. China's the greatest thing ever. China's so great, so great. Most of the people in China are in poverty and squalor. Some of them can't even afford rice. Not even some, a lot can't even afford rice. They got to eat bugs. Make that make sense. Okay? Make that make sense. Somebody said the same thing's happening in Rochester too. Yeah, man, these socialists and communists and globally, all of it. It's all the same. It's all the same. Somebody said, I know a few nail salons. And it's funny, right? Because in America, we don't even, and especially in the Northeast, we don't even consider the Chinese to run nail salons. That's always the Vietnamese. So that's something. Drink water, stay hydrated. But yeah, we should be considering every Chinese restaurant, every Chinese wig store, a combatant against our country. And look at whose neighborhoods they're in, siphoning the money away from the middle class, the working class, those that are impoverished, and they're sending their money back to their country. Okay, and they're doing all of this to benefit themselves, to benefit the Chinese agenda, not to benefit America. You know, it's real serious. It's bad. It's bad. I have to know somebody that's a foreigner to actually really deal with them at all. Otherwise, I don't want to do any business with any foreigners hardly at all. Period. Because I know they send their money out of the country, right? Like, it's very simple. It's not about, oh, somebody's from this country or that country. No, it's they take our money, they send it out of the country, and that means that there's less money in circulation in the United States of America. If there's less money in the circulation, that means that there's less ability for our economy to be actually strong. So this is very, very, very important. Okay. So this is what we see happening every day is a ton of American money is getting shipped abroad. Okay. Trump was earlier in his administration this session. He said that he wanted to put, I believe it was 5% charge on any money that was sent abroad. But then the House of Representatives killed that idea. Like, that's wild to me. Who are you serving? They were like, oh, it's going to cost these people billions of dollars. Absolutely. Billions of dollars that can be used to pay down the debt or be used to fund the government and not money that has to come out of our pockets. Why are they sending our money abroad anyway? This is the problem, because everybody is about themselves. Everybody comes over here. They come to America. They're all about benefiting themselves. Nobody has ever come to America and been like, I'm coming to America to help America. I want to help America. I want to move to America to help America. Nobody's ever said that. Never been said. Everybody comes here for themselves. Okay? All these illegal aliens, they came here for themselves. All these legal aliens, they came here for themselves. All of these foreigners on visas and stuff, they came here for themselves. Not one of them came to benefit the United States of America. Period. That's a fact. Okay? Ask them. Ask anybody. Ask any foreigner if they came to actually help uplift America. No. And that's okay. So I don't want you to get it twisted. I think that that's perfectly okay. That they're about their own self-interest and they understand that. And they're about helping themselves, their family, whatever the case is, their country, whatever the case is. But we as Americans need to understand that that's what time it is. We need to understand that that's what time it is. So you see also China's over here buying up all the farmland. They're buying up all of the food productions. Okay, so that they control our food, they control our farmland. And what's being done to stop that? A couple of states have passed laws to limit that from happening, but not a lot, not enough. I don't understand why any foreigner can own anything in the United States of America. We need to be doing like they do in the UAE or Saudi Arabia somewhere, where any foreigner that comes over here that wants to put anything in here, they got to have 90% ownership from American citizen. Like, I can't deal with this noise, which is why I'm very happy somebody said ship them back, which is why I'm very happy with the government saying, hey, if you're a foreign country and you want to invest in our country, we're going to actually put your money into this pot where we direct the investment and we get 90% of the profit and you get 10% of the profit. That's all of these investments that are flowing into our country. That's how that's working out. So it's kind of like a sovereign wealth fund. Okay, it's a federally directed wealth fund to benefit the United States of America. That's a positive thing. Now, let's hope that we get, I'm hoping and I'm praying that we get a Republican majority after these midterms that knows what time it is to actually keep the investments going, to actually keep the, what would you call it? The focus on rebuilding America actually at the core of everything that they're doing, because we know that we got a lot of Republicans that's not their main priority. We do. We know that. But the Democrats, they don't care about us at all. They just want power. And they'll be willing to cut your lights off so that you can have to ask them for firewood. And they'll only give you 3 phone books. It's bad. So we have to pray that we get candidates this year that'll get into office, into Congress, and they'll continue these type of initiatives forward. We really, really, really have to make sure that our main focus as Americans is America. And to that point, this is why we as citizens have to get active locally. I'm not able to impress upon you that as much as I would like to. Let me explain it to you real simply. Where can you make the biggest difference? It's not in Congress. It's not in the president's office. It's locally. It's on school board. It's on planning board. It's on city council. It's on town council. It's in the county ledge. It's on these local boards where you can actually have your voice heard and have it inputted, right? That's where we as individuals need to focus. We need to have more people that are willing to stand on conservative principles, that are willing to stand up for Christ, that are willing to stand up and push back against all of these things that are being propagated that are anti-American. I was having a conversation yesterday with a guy from Pakistan. You know, I was at a conservative event and this guy from Pakistan is there. And he's like, yeah, man, I came over here for education, whatever the case is. He's over here for his education, right? And he was like, yeah, he was like, a lot of people don't understand that, because he was asking about what's the issue with Muslims in America and stuff like that, and anti-Islam and so forth and so on. Now, he's from Pakistan, so this is important. Okay, so in Pakistan is technically Persia, right? So below Iran, all of that other stuff are Saracens, right? So those are the Muslims that are of the Sand people. Okay, those are the traditional Saracens. It's not the same as the ones up in the mountains, right? The mountain areas. Iran, mountains. Pakistan, mountains. Afghanistan, mountains. And the thing is with them, it's different. So you see all of these people over here that are causing all of this destabilization and stuff like that. Those are people from the Sand nations, right? And he was explaining to me, he was like, yeah, man. He was like, those people down there, they don't represent us. They are not the same as us. And I was like, I know, dude. You ain't got to tell me. I already know. Because he's like, yeah, Pakistan doesn't even mess with them like that. Like they're not the same and they don't like them. It's the truth. Because these people from these other areas, these sand areas, are coming over here and they're messing it up for everybody else that's Muslim. You know? Because they're like, oh, we want Sharia law and stuff like that. If you're Muslim, you need to be standing up publicly against Sharia law. You need to be standing up publicly against these people that are trying to tear down our nation and reform our nation because of what America has done for you and given you. You're more than welcome, if you're not happy or satisfied in America, to go back wherever you're from. But here you are. So there must be some benefit to it. You must like it enough not to go back to your own country. It's a serious problem. So he was explaining to me, he said, you know, even the Afghans, because Pakistan's at war with Afghanistan right now, which I don't understand how most people haven't been paying attention to that. Like, that's a serious thing. But that's another conversation for another time. Okay. So I was asking him about China and stuff and his thoughts on what's going on with China and Pakistan and stuff like that. And he was like, oh, well, they're kind of helping. I'm like, well, what about the people over there that don't want them there because the Chinese are funding all of these projects and they're basically taking over their towns and stuff like that? And he's like, yeah, but again, that's the Chinese. That's what they play. So we were talking about this whole, he was asking me about Islamophobia and stuff. And I was like, Americans aren't Islamophobic. Think about that word for a second. It says that we're scared. There's nobody scared of Islam. It's a very understandable concern for a philosophy and political agenda that has legitimately conquested its way across the world. And that's legit. Okay? Islam, it comes out from Saudi Arabia, goes all through Yemen, goes all through the Middle East down there, comes down Northern Africa, goes down Western Africa, okay? Raping, pillaging, conquering, all of that. Then tries to take over takes over the Holy Land, takes over parts of Europe, and then that's how we got the Crusades. But we can't even talk about that. So when somebody's like, oh, well, it's anti-Islam or Islamophobia, what phobic? Who's phobic? Bro, I know history. Islam has done nothing but try to conquer and destroy everyone else. Okay? And we need to have that conversation. And they're like, oh, well, we're different. Prove it to me, right? Like, prove it to me. Just don't sell me a false bill of goods. Like, they'll say, oh, well, Islam is the religion of peace. Yeah, if you consider killing everybody, that's not Muslim peace. If you consider conquesting other lands through violence, peace, then I guess that's what it is. But it's not. Like, don't play in our face. So you're welcome for that. So it's a serious issue, right? So people are like, oh, Islamophobia. Nobody is scared of Islam. We know the history that Islam has killed, invaded, destroyed, okay? Look at what happened in Portugal. Look at what happened in Spain for 500 years, okay? That's why we had to have the Reconquista. If you're not familiar with the Reconquista, go look it up. Also, look who opened up the gates in Spain and Portugal for those Muslims. Look that up. Who helped them take over Europe at that time? Look that up. I'm not going to go into that, but look that up because that's something to think about. So when they go places, they try to take over. And he was like, well, we're not trying to do that or whatever the case is. And I pointed out, I said something to him. I said, it's interesting because in Saudi Arabia, you can't have open prayer and worship in the middle of the street. So how is it that they're over here trying to do all of that here? Can you make that make sense to me? And then your thought is that people are unjustly concerned about this, but you can't do that over there. You can't do that in Pakistan. Why is that? Okay, so that's something that needs to be talked about. Somebody said, yes, they do. No, they do not. It is not legal to do that in Saudi Arabia or the UAE. So what are you talking about? You don't know what you're talking about. You're spreading lies and misinformation. Okay, disinformation, really. So this is a serious problem. Somebody says, what you talking about? So it's a real issue that we have in America right now. And if you were to tell me that Islam isn't a big issue, fair. Okay. Not that I believe you, but let me just take you at your word. Why aren't you denouncing Sharia law? Why aren't you denouncing these people that are doing these takeovers of the street? Why aren't you denouncing that? Explain it to me like I'm 5. I'll wait. Like, explain to me why you're not denouncing it. If you're not denouncing the behavior, you're supporting the behavior. Okay? You're allowing it to grow. So where are all these good Muslims, I'm using air quotes, good Muslims that are standing up against Sharia? Right? Where are the good Muslims that are standing up against these people that are shouting death to America? Where are the good Muslims that are standing up against these people doing street takeovers, praying in the streets, inconveniencing everybody else, all of this other nonsense? It's nothing more than a dog pissing on the street and asserting that it is their territory. That's what we're watching happening in our nation right now. So if there are these so-called good Muslims, why aren't you standing up against these people? Please explain it to me. And there are some. I know some. I know some. I know one. I know one that will actually stand up and speak against that. Okay? I found one that is actually English that'll speak up against that as well. So so that's two people in two different countries on two different continents that I found. Are there more? Because where are they? Where are they? Why are they not speaking up against this? If you won't speak up against it, you're allowing it to happen. Somebody says, Muslims aren't telling us how to live. But the fact of the matter is this. What do you mean they're not telling us how to live? They're saying that we need to accept everything that they do as gospel. And they don't even believe in the gospel. Please, miss me with that. Don't play in my face. Okay? They're not telling us how to live. Oh, yes, they are. I don't know where you live. Okay, you need to go check something out. You're out here talking this nonsense. You don't know what the hell you're talking about. This is the problem. People get up here. They're like, oh, that's not happening. That's not happening. Why is it not happening? Look at what happened to that lady. Where is she from? Ireland? The Irish lady? Maybe it was Scotland. I don't know. The guy that she was with was that Muslim dude, some Muslim dude. Okay, he beat her to death. She's like, oh, it's all great getting a Muslim and this and that and the third. And he beat her to death. Now he's on an international manhunt for him. They're on an international manhunt for him. Come on now. Somebody said people just be talking. They do. They just be talking. They don't know what the hell they're talking about. I was watching online this girl that does this online stuff now. She's like, oh, well, I'm going to go move to Afghanistan because the guy that I was going to marry so he could come to the U.S. can't come here. So I'm going to go and marry him over there. And I'm still going to be doing my TikToks and I'm still going to be doing this and I'm still going to be doing that. Okay. You have no clue. You have no clue what goes on in Afghanistan. Craziness. Drink water, stay hydrated. But it's serious. And it's largely white leftists that are propping up all of this anti-American, pro-Islam, pro-foreign countries nonsense. They hate our own nation. Go leave. Bro, leave. There's a plane every day, a plane every hour. Get out the country. Leave. Don't come back. Let us worry about our own country. Let us take care of our own country. You hate it so bad. Leave. Okay? We'll give your citizenship to one of these people over here that loves America. That's a foreigner. There are a lot of foreigners that love our country. And you don't like our country and you're from here. And you're trying to make our country like a foreign country. Don't nobody want to be no foreign country. And I've told this story before, I'm sure. I went to Doha one time, bro. I will never go back to none of those Muslim countries because I got off the plane and the people on the plane were like, oh, make sure that you throw away any food or drinks that you have and any water that you have before you get off the plane. Because if you're caught drinking water or eating, they'll put you in jail. I said, what do you mean? They said, yeah, it's Ramadan. They'll put you in jail if you're caught doing that. I said, but I'm not Muslim. They said, it doesn't matter because it's a Muslim nation. That's the way that they roll. I said, oh, I said, you ain't got to ask me. I will never come back to this place. You understand what I'm saying? But they get to rule the way that they want over there in their countries where they're all Islamified. But in our country, if we're like, oh, no, we don't do that here or whatever, it's a problem here. To heaven with that noise. Get out of town. Get out of town. And people don't want to have that conversation. So I'm happy that they're doing whatever they want in their country. But when they come over here and say, oh, we've got to be complacent and complicit with whatever they want, fuzz that, send them back. Okay? Look, we can't send them back fast enough. Elon, you got any of them rocket ships? I want to just put them up there. I hear you got 1 hour, 45-minute transportation anywhere in the world. Okay, let's drop them all back real quick. Like somebody said, the men are aggressive too. Somebody was telling me they're from Idaho. I was just talking to them yesterday. Okay. They were saying that in Idaho, their mom, right? So getting from their temperament themselves, like they seem like real chill, right? Like not a grr type of person or whatever the case is. So, but real chill. And they were like, yeah, their mom was shopping, and then she got accosted by some Muslim dude that tried to body check her. You understand what I'm saying? Because they want to assert their dominance, right? Because that's their culture. Okay. And when she came back home, she was crying to him and the father and stuff like that. And neither of them were there to do anything or protect him, to protect her. And they were like, you know, it's messed up because she doesn't have any reason to lie about that, you know? So it's a very serious problem. It's a very, very serious problem. Okay. And people want to act like, oh, this isn't happening. It absolutely is. Just because you want to willfully disacknowledge reality doesn't make it so. It's like the same people with the socialists. Oh, you know, well, socialism is good. It's never been practiced anywhere in the world before, so nothing bad has ever happened. That's wild to me. That's what it's very clearly happened in a number of different places, and it's never worked out. And they're like, oh, well, America has interfered in these other places. What about Africa? Did you know that there were socialist nations in Africa and it didn't work out? No, nobody knows that. Okay, it's like 21 of them, okay, at some point were socialists or communists. Okay, it didn't work out. Didn't even last very long. Okay, and it had nothing to do with the US. So these are the important conversations to have. It is very clear that as a Christian nation, we need to stand on Christian values. But all of these atheists and agnostics are teaming up with these Muslims to try to do everything that they can to push Christ and Christianity out of every facet of our society, because they know that if they can do that, they can propagate more of their nonsense. Okay. And they don't even realize that they're being used by these people that are pushing Islamism. They don't know. They just see it as a way for them to get more of their stuff that they want. Except if you take a look at like places in Michigan where they've taken over the whole city council and stuff like that, and they've killed off the gay parades and they've killed off the gay flags and stuff like that. But you know, you can't talk about that. That's not happening. It's crazy, right? Yeah, no, they don't know. They don't get it. They don't get it. The brain don't work so well. They hate us so much that they can't even see past that to what they're doing. It's a problem. Drink water, stay hydrated. It's a real serious problem. And I'm going to tell you this. If we want to restore our nation, if we want to take our nation farther in the future, if we want to benefit our country, the only way for us to do that is to return to Christ. That's what we need to do. Our nation must return to Christ. It must return to biblical principles, biblical teachings, and actual scripture. What's happened now is we've been blessed because of our attachment to Christ as a nation. Okay? I don't care what you believe. I don't care where you're from. Okay? It is very clear that since our nation was founded on Christianity, that God has smiled upon us. Okay? So whether you believe in God or not, our God, the one true triune God, has smiled his favor upon the United States of America and kept us relatively safe and secure, okay, compared to all of these other nations. That's why we must stand for Christianity. That's why even if you're not Christian, you should be pushing for that restoration of that in our nation, because that's what allows you to have the safety and the security in our nation. It is. And people need to understand this, and they don't. They're like, oh, well, they want to be anti-Christian or whatever the case is because, you know, it pays them well, right? Like they've developed these collectives over the last 100 years to try to, topple Christianity out of our society. Look at all of the issues with social welfare right now. Feeding the homeless, housing the homeless, hospitals, education, all of that stuff used to be stuff that was done by the church. Okay? Churches used to do that stuff. Now who does it? The government, right? And the government is nothing more but empowering itself. But it's cut the church out of the fabric of our society, and we are having more and more issues because of it. More and more issues because of it. This is why we must restore Christianity in the United States of America. We must turn back and repent for our transgressions as the nation as a whole, and we must restore our founding principles. So as we go forth and we have more of these important conversations, I want you to remember two important things. The first thing is that no matter what anybody says, America is a Christian nation. And because of Christians, that's why everybody else has the opportunity to be in this country and to thrive and succeed. Okay? And anybody that says otherwise just hates Christians. There is no veracity to it at all. And somebody says, oh, they hate religion or whatever nonsense. Go be atheist in the bottom of the ocean. Okay, go be agnostic at the bottom of the ocean. I do not care about you. I do not have any respect for any of these other religions. There is only one true religion, and that is the religion of the triune God. Okay, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. Amen. This is real serious. And as they continue to deteriorate and replace Christianity in our nation, what are they doing? Burning down churches. Burning down churches. Hundreds of churches, and I've been talking about this for some time. It's just come more widely in the news lately, right? They've been burning down hundreds of churches across our country for the last couple of years. Just in the last, I want to say 2-3 weeks, they've burnt down like 10 churches in New York City. Okay, one was like 170 years old. Like, the attack on Christianity is real, but it's not just an attack on Christianity. And this is what I need people to really, really, really understand. It is an attack on the core of America. They're not specifically going after us because it's just Christianity. It's because they know that Christianity is the bulwark and the pillar that our nation is built upon. That solid rock that our nation has been built upon. And if they can chip away at that rock and they can get rid of it, they can collapse our whole nation and they can take over. That's why us, especially Christians, need to stand up now. We need to stand up for Christian biblical doctrine. We need to get involved in politics because they say, oh, well, keep religion out of politics. Look at all of those Muslim women with their hijabs. Are they keeping religion out of politics? You understand what I'm saying? Are the hijabis keeping Islam out of politics? Okay. You got the guy, Mandani, right? He's doing prayer services at his office and stuff like that and posting it online. Is he keeping Islam out of politics? No. So clearly it's not that they want to keep religion out of politics. They want to keep Christianity out of politics. So there's a very big difference. And we have to understand that this is what they're doing. This is what they're promoting. And it's really a trick and a trap. And it is an attack against Christ. And it is attack against Christianity. And, you know, in the Bible, they say, we're not at war with the people, you know, we're at war with principalities. It's all demonic. Who's behind it? You want to know really and truly? Those who hate Christ, those who hate God. That's why it's being done. Everything is being pushed. All of the socialism, all of the Marxism, all of that's anti-God. They don't believe in religion. Okay, all of the communism, all of that. You look at feminism, you look at alphabetism, you look at transgenderism, all of that is an affront to God. Why? Because they're going against nature. And at least, you know, all of these crazy crystal sage waving people and stuff like that. Like, seriously? Like, you don't see that they're going against nature? That's not a problem for you? Like, this is a real serious issue. Okay? Like, all of these things are against God. They're against Scripture. They're against the Bible. And they're being pushed forward. They're being pushed forward. I'm going to say it again because they're being pushed forward specifically to push God out and to push evil in. Okay? It's all antichrist. That's what's happening in our nation now. And we as Americans, we must stand for America. We must stand for Christ. And we must stand for Christianity. That's what I got for you. It's time for us to get active, you guys. It's time for us to engage other like-minded individuals. It's time for us to start getting involved more in politics. It's time for us to stand up for religion and for our nation, because the only people that are going to protect our nation and keep it great is Christians. The rest of these people want to tear down our nation and reform it in the way that they want. It's all against God. Help us find our tribe. Share this video, share this post, get the message out there. Okay. Push it everywhere that you can. Make sure you hit the like, you hit the subscribe button. It only takes you 2 seconds. So hit like and subscribe right now, follow right now. And let's have these important conversations, because we need to motivate our people in our nation to stand up. Because if we don't stand up right now, they're going to overtake our nation and we will have nowhere to go. Nobody wants Americans. Mexico don't want Americans. Canada don't want Americans. The Middle East don't want Americans. Europe don't want Americans. Where are we going to go? We got nowhere to go. That's why we must protect and preserve our home for our future generations. It's that simple. It's that simple. I'll catch you guys later. Remember, stand up, speak up, and don't shut up. Take action. Be blessed and be well.